Welcome to Ditch Digger CEO. We got a great guest today, a leader of men, a leader of family, leader of faith, and the guy that I respect a lot, Corey Brooks, Pastor Corey Brooks. Welcome today, brother.
Hey, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, thank you. You know what? I'm only doing like one a month now. Chris is trying to push me to just make sure I get that one a month in. But so we got to make sure whoever we have, it's the top, it's the best, it's best of the best, and that's what we got today.
Thanks a lot. Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate it.
So so we basically we interview people that are top in their field of what they do, and we know you are, Corey. We know everything you do is top notch, and you're doing everything to give back. We also we talk to leaders that excel what they do, but they also have a servant heart. If you listen to our podcast, I don't care how successful a person is, if they don't have if Chris and I don't feel they have a servant heart, sorry, man, they're not going to make the cut, right? And
Absolutely.
Not many people don't. If people build something substantial in their communities and in the country, serving a space at a world-class level, it just so happens that most of the time, Corey, they've got servant hearts and they care about others more than themselves. And that's the type of people we interview. So we have a lot of fun with this podcast. And we're really excited to have you today, Corey, because right now, as you know, I'm running for governor, and I haven't talked about that in my podcast too much. But running for governor, I want to understand how do we solve problems like we have not solved in the past as well as we'd like, right? And so I know you're on top of that on a daily basis, trying to figure out and actually figuring out in many cases how to solve problems in your community. And we'd love to hear about that a little today too, right?
Absolutely. Thanks.
So Corey's got his Cubs shirt on today, and I had to go get my White Sox.
Yes, sir.
Just to kind of like sport the pride. I mean, we are a way better team this year than you guys are for the first time in a while. I think. Well,
it's not over yet. It's not over yet.
It's not over. But if we're healthy and we get a little healthier, like we're gonna, watch out, man. People are going to be flocking to the south side to watch my team.
Yeah, we'll see. But when the season comes, how it goes, that song is always sung. But we'll see. There's a lot
of time left, a lot of games left still. You're right.
Absolutely.
Hey, Corey, I want to talk about where you're from. We like to start with where a person shaped their paradigm as a kid. What their parents were like and the family was like to get you to the place of a leadership mindset that you are today. So tell us a little bit about as a kid growing up.
Well, as a kid growing up, I was born in a little town called Union City, Tennessee, about 60 miles outside of Memphis. And I was raised in a town called Kenton, Tennessee. It's the home of the white squirrel. It's one of the few places in America that they actually have a white squirrel. I tell people all the time, I didn't know that white squirrels were brown and other colors until I got about 11 years old. And I got into a fight with a kid over the color of a squirrel. So so we moved from Kenton, Tennessee when I was about 10 to Muncie, Indiana. Middletown, USA, Ball State University. And I went to high school there, went to college there, and great place to grow up, great place to build a lot of great relationships that are still lasting relationships from friends back home. And after I went to Ball State, graduated from Ball State, went to law school for a year at the University of Florida in Jacksonville, Florida. Realized I shouldn't be there, and I should have been in seminary, so I left and went to seminary at Dallas Theological Seminary before I was called a pastor in Richmond, Indiana. Stayed there for 4 years, and then almost 30 years ago, came to Chicago.
Wow! And what pushed you to go to seminary? Were you in a Catholic family or what?
Yeah, so I was raised a Christian, and I really had a passion toward wanting to do ministry. I tell people I have an entrepreneurial spirit, And that whole concept of ministry and entrepreneurship kind of merged in my life. And so I knew I needed to be trained for it. And so I tried to pick out what I thought was the best seminary in the country.
Neat. And so, I mean, my mindset, seminaries that I know of, is in the Catholic faith. I thought they're almost all. I thought they're Catholic. That was a Catholic thing, but that's any Christian faith, huh?
Yeah, any Christian faith. Most all denominations have some type of seminary training that the individuals go to get trained, whether it's Catholic or Protestant. Yeah.
Well, okay, and you felt when did the entrepreneurial spirit come along? I mean, that you could be a pastor and pretty much an entrepreneur. I mean, when did that mindset take over?
Well, from the onset, we started our church from scratch. So it's kind of like starting a business. So 22 years ago, rather, we started New Beginnings Church on the south side of Chicago in a very tough neighborhood. We wanted to reach individuals who were hard to reach. And so we started with a couple of families, and we've grown it since then. But planning a church is a lot like starting a business.
Absolutely. In my faith, a pastor doesn't have the ability to really do that as much as I would like to see. They've got structure around them, kind of like they're a executive maybe, but they don't have the ability to imagine and visualize as well as I think you're able to. So that's so think about those couple families you started with. Are any of those families still part of your family?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's still part of the congregation except for ones who have moved out of the city into another state or something like that. But for the most part, we still have our core, and they're still involved in our leadership. They're still involved in vision casting and training. So yeah, everybody's still on board.
I like what you just mentioned, vision casting. I've heard that only once or twice before. Probably from you, but tell us about vision casting and what that is.
Well, vision casting is all about trying to get people to understand what can be, what should be, what ought to be, and trying to lead them into it. And so as a pastor and doing business, I try to cast vision for what could be and what we're trying to reach our goal, our potential. And we do our very best to communicate as best as possible to help people to understand the principles on what it takes to get there. So we cast the vision, and then we strategically plan, and we set the course, and we go toward it. And that's what pastoring is really all about.
I agree, and that's what entrepreneurship is all about, right? Anytime you build anything, you better be able to create a clear vision so that your teammates on board can see the vision along with you. And then you got to have your operational minds build that strategy to go along with the visionary, right? And
absolutely.
When everybody can buy into the strategy to get to that vision, boy, then as long as you can continue to maintain that and along the way, man, it's awesome, right?
Yeah, it is awesome. Hey, Gary, I was wondering, do you think that and I know you're interviewing me and talking to me, but I want to ask you, since I have this awesome opportunity, I want to take advantage of it because I know you've done so much with entrepreneurship and with leaders. When it comes to vision casting and when it comes to clearly defining the vision and putting a team together to orchestrate that vision, what do you think is the hardest part of that?
I think I find in the enterprises that we're part of, I find that the vision for me the vision's easy because I'm a visionary, and the execution and the strategy for me is a little bit tougher for me, right? On one side, I'm very strong on seeing a vision. I'm not as strong. I'm not as strong. I can do execution and I do operations, but I'm not as strong. I get bored in that after a while. So I think the key for me is to always make sure that I have really strong people on the execution and operational side to build that plan, and then have and for me to understand them so that I can create clarity because they're not always visionaries, right? For me to create clarity in that vision so they can see it as clear as I can. And at that point, they can challenge me and say, "Hey, Gary, there's no way you're going to get to, this many customers in that short period of time, because it's going to cost us X dollars to invest in marketing and sales to get there." And I'll say, "Okay, well, but what if we found those extra dollars to do that? Now, what do you think?" Right? And I'm like, "Well, gosh, if you can do that, if our bank is with us and you can raise the money, okay, we get it." Right? So it's that push and pull, and having both sides of the brain there. Now, once in a while, I'll find a CEO, and I've got a couple right now that are amazing on both sides. Left brain, or left brain, right brain, you could say, right? They're very operational. Right. They have engineering minds, and yet we've taught them, or they've learned before on how to cast that vision, and they've got a visionary mind, and they've got the operational mind. I can always find weakness in one of those two in anybody, right? But I've got a couple of CEOs in our organization that are amazing on both sides of that, and that's dangerous, right? But the key there too, Pastor, is that they might have both, but they can't think they're too smart, that they don't take on vision and operational expertise around them that could challenge them even more. And I think that's the key. When people think they're the smartest, and on either side, whether it's casting that vision that seems so clear to them, and even educate on that vision, or they think they're so good at the operational side, or both, right? The danger is that they think they're smarter than anybody else, no matter how sharp they are. So the best entrepreneurs can do both, sometimes can do both and lead both, I should say, and other times they're very strong on one side or the other. And that's a matter of building the team around them to challenge them, to make that vision better, the execution plan better, and then pivot as they go forward, month after month, year after year, to be able to pivot when they have to. Because the other thing is some people, if they're prideful in any way, they won't get off that vision that they think is the best vision, and sometimes it's just not, right.
Right, and thank you for saying that, because in my own life, that's probably where I struggled in early on with church and with business. I'm a visionary, I'm a vision caster, but that operations part is the weaker part of my brain and my life. And so getting people around me that can carry out operations, like I'm blessed to have my son, who is a master at operations, and who helps us tremendously. But for a long time, I struggled, because I thought, no one ever told me that you're a vision caster, and so you need to get some people who can do operations. I thought, okay, I'm the pastor, or I'm the business leader, or I started this business, and now I need to cast this vision, and I need to make sure that it functions and operates. And so I didn't understand to get some capable, competent, gifted people who can help me to carry out the vision. And I think a lot of people struggle with that whole concept of not understanding where their stronger points are, and then working to get their team to enhance all the things that they want to do.
Yeah, it's funny, because I know some really, really strong visionaries that boy, when they talk about what they can see in the future, and whether it's their industry or their community or whatever, you can see they've got amazing vision. And I think I've always had a good amount of that. But in my earlier days, almost just like you said, for 20 years, I really didn't build anything. I built a business for me and my family to support our family, right? But I was on top of everything. I did everything from laboring the field, operating equipment, to estimating and sales. And I worked mega hours, and the business needed me to keep driving it. Well, that's not that's a very good business model. If I got hit by a bus, Pastor, my business wouldn't have been worth anything, right? They would have sold the equipment at auction, and that might have been it, because my wife and family wouldn't have had a lot. And then about 20 years, probably 15 to 20 years in, I started reading about duplication of products and processes and leaders, and how do you build a duplicative model to where you can scale it, regionally, nationally, whatever. And now you actually create enterprise value for that business, right? Where it's worth something for anybody else to come in and buy it. If I get hit by a bus, I want to know that my wife and kids would be taken care of, because they could sell the business for a good chunk of dough, and it would keep going, moving on and on.
Right.
But that took me probably 20 years to get into a place where it started to look like that. And then the last 20 years of my businesses that I've started and grown all rely on more than just one character at the top of the heap, right? I'll rely on one, not more than just one leader. And so therefore to have that, well, guess what? You have to have leaders that actually are in my opinion, they're selfless. They don't think they're the smartest person in the room they walk into.
Yeah.
They have a number two, number three people that maybe are smarter than them, and they realize they're smarter than them, and they're okay with that. Okay. Instead of a business where my first 20 years, man, I thought I was the smartest person on my team, and nobody could be smarter than me. Right. Well, boy, nowadays to grow to where we've grown, I've got a lot of people on our team that are leaders, and heck, they're way smarter than me in a lot of things. So it's the key, I think, in real leadership is growing leaders and understanding how you can use the strengths that they have that you don't have, and then educate them on the strengths that you do have. Right.
Right.
So yeah. So for me, our businesses are run by people now that are entrepreneurs. They've got, if they don't have both sides of the brain, which most of them don't, they know where their strengths are, and they know that they're not the smartest person in any room they walk into, and they're always, they think of everything in the scope of a 10-year-old kid, probably, right, in that meeting, asking questions that might sound stupid because they're good with that. They're good with learning more, not knowing everything, right?
Right. You know, Gary, one of the things that I've always, a couple of things I've admired about you, and I want to take full advantage of having this opportunity to talk with you. And even though, like I said, I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, I want to take full advantage of me getting to ask you all these things I've been wanting to ask you since I have an audience with you. I think two things that are going to make you a really great governor that I just appreciate, and I want to ask you a question about it, is the vision casting part. I think that's so important for the state, so important for businesses, so important for entrepreneurs. But another thing that you said that I want to ask you about that I've often struggled with as well is growing leaders, because you can't move anything forward without having a team, and oftentimes growing leaders is a difficult thing. And I find that people that I interact with and other leaders that I interact with, they have great vision and they don't have great operational skills, or that's the weaker area. But another area that they sometimes suffer in is that they can't grow leaders. But you've been really successful in doing that. Can you just tell a person like me, how do you go about growing leaders and developing leaders?
Yeah. So that, first I look for a couple things first, right? I look for, something you teach every day, and that's to be a servant, right? To be a servant for our God. And if you're serving God, you're just serving your fellow man, right? And if you're in any business, there's a product that you're delivering and you're serving your customers. If you can serve better than anybody else in the world, and you strive because you're so passionate about that product, if you serve better than anybody else in the world, you're going to be successful. You're just going to be. Now you have to be fiscally responsible, right? You have to be very accountable. If you're serving others, you have to be accountable. In other words, take responsibility. And I know you do this every day. You take responsibility for the times when things don't work out. It's all on you, right? And everybody looks at you and says, "Wait, man, it's not all on him. It was my fault." Is it? No. You're the leader. It's all on you. And when things go really well, a leader, you teach leaders, when things go really well, man, I know you want the credit.
We did it.
Hold back, man. Give the credit to your team. Give the credit to that one person that had the most time in solving that problem. Don't take the credit. And again, I look today at leaders today, I see, Corey, and so often they're not that type of leader. And I'm telling you, even leaders that I like, I think that get things done, they're aligned with me. So often when things go well, man, they're right there to take the credit. Look what I did, right? And when things go bad, they're like, they're pushing it off. It's somebody else's fault always. And I think consultants in business and politics, unfortunately, guide them to think that way, because that's what I'm finding right now, Corey. I'm finding that, I'm blunt and I say, man, I'm not smart enough to figure out that problem, but I'll find the person that can. Okay.
Yeah.
The media, Corey, will just quote that I'm not smart enough. They don't finish that comment and say, but I'll find somebody that's world class that will solve that problem with me, right?
Absolutely.
So I have to even be careful on how I talk, because I can't be I can't say everything I normally say sometimes because the media will pull out what they want. And I think, smart people and good leaders realize when that's not something they're intelligent about because they've not studied, they haven't spent the tens of thousands of hours to be an expert at it. But the media wants to know that you're great at everything, or they'll tell people you're not. You're just not capable. And I think for anybody in leadership to think they know it all, man, they're done learning. So my thing is I want to find leaders that have compassion and passion for what they do, compassion for their teammates and their customers, their vendors, and boy, we can do a lot with them. But the one thing I say is, I always think what encapsulates a leader, and I just think it's a person that inspires other people to do way more than they would ever do if that leader was not in their life, right? So and I know who you are, and I know so many people look up to you that their lives are different because they look upon you as, man, I want to be like that guy. I want to be able to be the compassionate leader that Corey is. And when you can be that person in a community, in a business that people look upon and say, man, I want to be like that person, right? And now other people have a vision of what they want in their life different than maybe what they had. And so when I look at our CEOs of our businesses, I hope that over the past and the future, I'm able to inspire them to be maybe a little more of a leader, a little better family leader, whatever it is that they could be, because I was just in their life and shared my time with them. And I think that if we can do that in life, boy, the world's a better place, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Gary, can I, I know you're supposed to be asking me questions, but can I just ask you one more question? One more. And that is, a lot of times people have the vision, and sometimes they even get the people around them, like you're talking about other leaders, but they're sometimes missing the finances to push the vision. Can you talk about, like, how have you been able to be creative? What do you need to do in moments like that as a leader when you got this great vision? Because that's where I find myself. I got this great vision. I'm putting together a great team, but we're still short financially where we need to go. What do you do in times like that?
So Corey, for my most of my life, I've been bootstrapping our businesses, and meaning it's my wife and I over the years, and our bank, and so I had to sell my vision to my wife as I grew my business, to say, hey honey, I want to spend everything we got in this new idea. If it doesn't work out, we might be broke. Are you good with that? And she's like, yeah, you know what? We've been broke before, honey, so that's okay.
Been
right?
there.
And then eventually, you've been there. So then eventually it's like, okay, I got a bank now. A bank actually believes in me. Okay, bank, I know I got this much cash. I need double that, triple that. Would you help me out, bank? And I had to really cast a great vision to them in order for them to put my credit out there a little heavier than I had before, so I can invest in that new vision. So it's selling them on my vision, right? So vision is so important, because it's not just about selling your teammates, right? It's about selling your spouse. It's about selling your bank on the idea. And so that was it. But what I know today, Corey, more than ever, as an entrepreneur, is, boy, the ability to raise money is incredible. I mean, there are so many resources out there to raise money in business that I've never seen before. So I've knock on wood, I've not had to go to any outside investors to invest in me. We did sell one company to private equities, or a portion of it. So that's kind of like bringing a partner with more money. But overall, ours have been bootstrapped, and have been blessed to be able to do that, because you retain more control of the direction of the business, and you retain more equity too, and you can do that. But I'd say that my thing is, I think that what you talk about, vision casting, the clearer that vision gets. If you can't afford to do it right now, and that's been my case, my first 20 years of my life, I had these crazy visions of where I could be in this industry of paving.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I could pave parking lots all over Illinois. Then I knew I could pave parking lots all over the country. But it took me years and years and years before I could afford the talent and the technology to be able to do it. But guess what? That wasn't so bad, Corey, because I'm not a very patient guy, but the patience I had to have clarified the vision even more before I got to it, and it worked out pretty well, right? So I think that what you talk about, vision casting, man, you get it. Not just that vision building has to be in your head all the time, and then you're going to meet people that are going to bring you clarity in that vision. And then when you do roll the vision out, because you have the money and you have the investors and you have the money, wow, the vision's so clear, your team can see it, your investors can see it. And people that I see that are leaders they don't have much vision, or they don't find people that do. If they don't, and that holds them back. And I look at the state of Illinois right now, Corey, and I need your help on this, because I know you're going to be there for me. But vision in Illinois is such a critical thing. If people could look out 10 years from now and see where Illinois is going right now, if you saw the vision of where it's going right now, fiscally and culturally, it's not a good place. And if we could build the vision, what that looks like, spend only 20% of our time talking about what that looks like, and then spend 80% of our time looking at the vision of what could be and what I believe will be. Okay. Now, if we could do that, now people say, wow, really? We could be like Dallas, Texas, really? Or we could be like, Tampa, Florida. What, really? And of course we can. We could be better than them, right? But we have to have more. We have to have more people seeing the vision and voting towards that vision, and not accepting negative people that have no vision to lead our state. And I mean, so when we talk about vision, Corey, I mean, I'm trying to build right now that exactly what I said, using great economists and people that are leaders in law enforcement, leaders in education, leaders in economics, leaders in job creation and policy. So for me, I'm building those leaders right now, Corey, because I want to be able to cast that short 20%, let's say again, 80-20, 20% of where a vision of where we're going. Unfortunately, it's not pretty. We're going down, and it's not pretty, as we both know. But boy, if we can spend 80% of that time casting that vision of blue sky and where we should be and where we will be, okay? Now we're talking, right? Because people will be like, wow, I want to be part of that vision, not that that short vision you talk about, the negative vision. I want to be part of that blue sky vision. Now, how do we get there, right? So I think it's important. Sorry to go off, but
No, I appreciate it.
So tell us this. How does a person like you, Corey, go to they have the guts to go to one of the toughest neighborhoods in the country and start your entrepreneurial vision in a community? How did that happen?
Well, I tell people all the time that I think one of the quality traits that I have is a quality trait of courage. Sometimes I call it dumb courage. that I'm very courageous, and I think to be a leader, sometimes you have to be courageous. You can't be afraid, and you can't operate in fear. And so when I put my courage with my compassion, I think it kind of called me to this community. It was a community that needed a lot of help. It's a community that needs a lot of infrastructure built around it so people can succeed. And so after looking at the greatest need and wanting to do something to help, I felt just called to this community. But I realized, though, coming to this community, that I had to be courageous because it's gang infested. The businesses are closing. Crime is tough. The schools aren't that great. And so you really have to be a courageous type of person or a crazy person to want to take on a challenge of being in the community to do the things that we're trying to do. So I just really felt called to be here and have a sense of compassion about helping as many people as I possibly can. And that's what we've been trying to do since we've been in this community.
Awesome. I mean, it's amazing what you're doing and how you do it. I mean, what do you feel your biggest your largest success have been, and where's your future? What does your future look like, and the goals you have in the future when we see what's going on around you? And police aren't told to enforce the law anymore. Culture in the communities means everything, and with amazing culture, right? You don't need a lot of policing, but unfortunately, with no policing, if there's bad people, they're gonna make more bad decisions, and people on the fringe of being maybe decent people, but not much vision themselves, they can fall in the hands of more bad people because they have opportunity. So can you tell us about where you made some progress and what you're seeing right now that we have to figure out how to change?
Gary, I've been asked that question before of where I've seen progress, and one of the things I realized is that we've had so many victories, and I'm not bragging about it. It's just the truth that we've had so many victories that sometimes it's difficult to pick out which ones, because we've had a lot of great ones, but I can give you a few that just quickly stand out in my mind. In 2011, there was a hotel across the street from our church. It had prostitution. It was ran by the gangs. Drugs were there. It was just a really bad place. It was controlling a lot of the crime in our area, was coming from that hotel. So I decided to go and fight the hotel owner. And when they would not stop the activities and they kept allowing the prostitution, I decided to go up on the roof of that motel and refuse to come down to bring attention and awareness to the violence and to the crime that was going on in our neighborhood. And after 3 days of refusing to come down on the roof, I was getting calls from the mayor. I got calls from the governor at that time. I got calls from the superintendent of police. Everybody was saying I had to come down, but I refused. And as a result, I ended up staying on the roof of that motel for 94 days, getting the hotel shut down, not just getting it shut down, but buying it and buying the building and then tearing the building down, where we're now trying to build it's called the ProjectHOOD Leadership and Economic Opportunity Center, that we're working to help transform the lives of people. So that's one of the greatest victories that we've experienced. And since that time, I've seen so many individuals and their lives be changed. One of them, a young man by the name of Jonathan, whose 6-month-old baby was shot and killed while he was holding her. I did not know Jonathan at the time. I had heard about him in the neighborhood, being involved in gangs, being involved in illicit activities. But when his baby was shot and killed, I just felt such overwhelming compassion to go and just see if I could help. So upon meeting Jonathan, I discovered a lot of things about him and his family, his background. And I took it upon myself at that very moment. I'm going to mentor Jonathan. And that was some 6 years ago. And Jonathan could not read. He had a 3rd grade education at reading level, even though he was in his 20s. He had some learning deficiencies. He had been involved in gangs all of his life. He was frequently carrying guns and dealing drugs, but I made a purpose to be in his life. And so since that time, he's gone on now to get his GED. He works full time for us. He takes care of his family. He's part of our violence prevention team to go out and try to help solve the issues of violence. And so I'm really, proud of him and proud about what he's doing. Another young man, his name is Twin. He has a twin brother, and they call them the Bentley twins. They were the largest drug dealers in our neighborhood. And they ran this neighborhood with an iron fist as far as drugs is concerned. And when he was getting out of jail, I found out about 3 months prior of his release. And so I sent word to him that I wanted to talk to him when he got out. And so when he got out, the first place that he came to visit was to have a discussion with me. And I had a discussion with him about how he had wrecked our neighborhood, how he had torn up the neighborhood, and how now we're trying to do something different, and we were not going to allow him to do drugs in the neighborhood. So he had one or two choices. Either he could help me reform the neighborhood, or he could, secondly, leave the neighborhood and never come back. So he decided he wanted to transition the neighborhood, reform it, reestablish it. And so he became a faithful member of our church. He now works full time for us as well with our violence prevention and mentoring program. And the Fox News did a story on us called "The Pastor and the Gangsters." So, those are some of the stories that I've seen progress, and I'm going to continue to see progress as long as we have construction classes where we're teaching trades. We just had an all women's electrical class where we graduated 18 women. We're teaching construction to guys who are in gangs, trying to teach them how to put down guns and pick up hammers, trying to teach them how to change the trajectory of their lives so they can make an impact on their children and their families in the future. So we do a lot of stuff that I believe is helping at a grassroots level, and that's bringing about life change for a lot of people.
It's amazing. It's amazing, Corey, what you're doing, and I've been down there to see it firsthand, and to see the quality of the people that that love your leadership. And I want to get to know more and more as I get older in my life to understand what you're doing. Because boy, we can duplicate you, and that's the key for you right now. And I know you're striving to do it. Duplicate you over and over and over again, right? I mean, your capacity is only 24 hours in a day, but boy, if you get 150 people in the next few years to be Corey's out there, using your model to do that over and over and over again. Now we've got an unbelievable groundswell of what leadership looks like and what community building looks like, right? So tell me about that. Tell me the way you think about building leaders around you, so that's not all on your back, right?
Yeah, especially Gary, as I get older, I realize that if you're going to leave a lasting legacy, and you don't want things to die with you, then you have to get people around, not just around you and what you're doing, but if you want to enhance not just Chicago, but other cities, you're going to have to create leaders. You're going to have to develop other people. And so at this stage of my life, that's where my focus is really, where I'm really honing in on, not just trying to make sure our vision is really clear, not just trying to complete the building of our center, but making sure that I pour as much as I can into individuals who are interested in the type of work that we do as a church and as a non-for-profit. And so I'm trying to build people in other places. I have some guys that I mentor in North Carolina. I have a guy, as you mentioned Tampa earlier. We have a guy in Tampa. We have a guy in Dallas. I have a guy in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And all of these individuals are brothers and sisters that I'm pouring into as much as I possibly can. And not that I know everything, but to just share with them the tools that have gotten me to where I am, and to give them any resources that I have available, to make them available to them. Because I really do believe if you're going to make lasting impact, that you have to pour yourself into people. You have to leave your life in the other people's life. And so that's what I'm doing right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And any way I can help you, that I want to help you, because it's going to change so many lives for the better. And if you could duplicate what you're doing in 10 other communities in the next 10 years, whatever your goals might be, right? What a difference you're going to make, right? Well, tell me about what I see in all communities that I'm around. When I look at people that are really striving to do the best they can, and compared to people that have kind of given up. I mean, I see too much victimhood, and I know everybody's got a reason to be a victim somewhere, somehow. I don't care if you're a kid who was born with $1 billion in your pocket. There's a reason you could probably call yourself a victim, compared to the kids that are born in Inglewood neighborhood that might have a mother that's working hard and can't be around them much, or bad schools, bad neighborhoods, right? I mean, anybody could be a victim, but how do you, Corey, really get into kids and people's head to say, man, you know what, lift yourself up, look at the tough times in the past, embrace them as blessings, and that's tough. That's really tough in a lot of situations, right? And be the victor. Don't let people convince you that you're the victim. Because, man, what I find, even with people that are sometimes spoiled in their lives that don't even realize it, somehow they figure out that they're a victim, and they don't progress. They don't get anywhere.
Right.
They become miserable and non-confident. Tell me about that, and because I've heard you speak and I know about what you do, but tell me about what you do there.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I really work hard at trying to do is especially with young people, is trying to make them understand that number one, life is not fair, and everyone has struggles and obstacles. But number two, regardless of your struggle, regardless of your obstacle, that you can overcome it. And there's nothing in this world that can stop you from achieving your destiny and your purpose if you're willing to put in the work. And I think a lot of times being a victim is a lot easier than saying, listen, I'm going to overcome these challenges and I'm going to put in the work and I'm going to strive for greater and I'm going to do the very best I can and let the chips fall where they may. A lot of people would rather take the idea and the concept of saying the world owes me, or I've been damaged and I can't do and I can't exceed because I come from this side of the tracks, or I come from a single parent, or my economic background is this. Whereas I tend to say, listen, regardless of your color, regardless of your education, regardless of where you come from, there is absolutely nothing that can stop you from reaching your destiny and your potential if you put in the work. And that's really what I try to push with our kids, with our students, with our young adults, with the guys in gangs. You know, especially when I talk to the guys in gangs, a lot of times you'll hear, you know, Pastor, I can't do it because this is against me, and I can't do it because I got this against me, and I've done this, and I've done, you know, and it's a challenge trying to get them to understand and to change the mindset of being a victim to being a warrior, to being an overcomer. But once they get it, they got it. It's just getting them to that point. But you got to constantly keep the messaging. You got to constantly keep pouring into them positivity, and you got to constantly keep believing in them sometimes when they don't even believe in themselves. And if you can do that, the messaging and helping them to believe in themselves, because sometimes I've found that you have to believe in a person until they can start believing in themselves. And so that's what we try to do. And it's been successful. It's been working.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You know, and I look at, you know, if we, I mean, in your life, you're inspiring people to understand their faith, understand, you know, God, and God, you know, again, the fact that if God's with you, who can be against you, right? And
right.
I mean, that message, if people understand that and they love God, boy, you know what? There's just no excuses. God's with you, and you're going to have some tough times, and in those tough times, realize He's carrying you in those tough times. If you're praying to Him, if He's in your life, right? And so, boy, you know what? If God's with you, nobody can be against you. And as tough as that is, sometimes tough times come. And you got to continue to believe that if you do, you'll get through those tough times as we do. But yeah, that's that. And again, I look at, you know, victim. There's so many reasons anybody can claim to be a victim, and I'm telling you, anybody can.
Yeah.
But if we can strive to be victors, it's so much more fun. I mean, it's an optimistic mindset. It's a positive mindset. You know, when you smile, the world smiles back at you, right? When you're a victim, it's tough to smile. And what happens if you're not smiling? The world's not smiling back at you either, right? And I feel terrible for my friends, family, and others that I know don't have that mindset. And as much as I'll always try to push it, doesn't mean everybody's going to have it. So the more we can do that, the better off the world's going to be, for sure.
Absolutely.
And when we look at the vision of where you're going, give us a vision. I've been down there to see your amazing campus there, Corey. But tell me, explain to our listeners what you have today in your campus and where you want to be 10 years from now.
Yeah. Well, we have on our campus presently, we have a alternative high school for 16 to 21 year olds. Most of them have gotten kicked out of Chicago public schools, mostly for some violent act or some criminal activity. So we take those individuals, 180 students we have right now, and we make sure that they are able to graduate from school and get the proper tools that they need in an educational environment that will help them to strive. So we take away the opportunity for them to make themselves a victim, and we say, hey, you may have gotten kicked out of school, but you're still obligated to learn. You're still obligated to get educated. We're going to put around you an infrastructure to help you succeed. And they've been doing that. So we're really grateful and thankful for that. We also have construction classes where we teach the trades. A lot of individuals may not go on to college, and most of them don't. So we want to make sure that they have some type of learning, some type of skill that they can help take care of their families, help take care of themselves, and hopefully eventually some of them become entrepreneurs where they own their own companies. So we do construction, we do entrepreneurship. We do electrical classes. We also have entrepreneurial classes on our campus where we teach people how to start business. We operate the entrepreneurial classes from three things. One is one of the lanes is for those individuals who really don't have an idea what true entrepreneurship is. And so we teach them this is what entrepreneurship is and about business. And then the second track is for those who know what entrepreneurship is, but then they kind of have an idea and they kind of want to work that idea. And so we teach them how to take the idea and make it come into fruition. And then the third track is for individuals who they know what entrepreneurship is, they have an idea, they're even working their idea, and we want to help them build capacity. So those are the three levels of entrepreneurship that we operate with. And then, of course, we have our summer programs for all of our kids. We're presently in the midst of we are going to build a $25 million state-of-the-art ProjectHOOD Leadership and Economic Center, where we're going to have all of those activities housed. And the reason why we're building that facility is so that we can build capacity to help more people. But secondly, so that in 10 years from now, we'll have a model for what we believe is going to work in major cities that are experiencing some of the same issues that we face in Chicago with the violence and the poverty. So we would like to build the model, take it to New Orleans, take it to Seattle, take it to St. Louis, take it to Memphis, all of these places whose violence is much worse than ours.
Wow, that's awesome, brother. And we kept missing each other, the COVID stuff and all that. I want to go down there and be in front of your students and talk about my crazy story of entrepreneurship. Yes. and the limited wisdom that this little brain has. I wanted to go and share some of that with our students because I know that these kids, the lessons of their lessons in life with the grit that they've had to establish to get through those lessons, those problems, those challenges, right, make them way stronger in life than a lot of other people that never had the challenge they
Absolutely.
had. They didn't have to establish the grit to be there today, to be with you nowadays, right? So again, and I think that, Corey, that great leaders and mentors that do it, the more they have to go out and speak in front of people, the stronger they get in being mentors themselves, and being entrepreneurs themselves, because they then have to retract what created success and where they get their wisdom from. What were their struggles in their entrepreneurial dream, right? What are the struggles they had in executing that dream and visualizing that dream? And so I think that I would love, Corey, to partner with you to not just for myself to be there if you need me, when you need me, right? But I've got 14, 15 entrepreneurs in our own organization. Awesome. That it would make them stronger if they could talk in front of your team, because they have to prepare.
Absolutely.
And they have to share the wisdom that they have, whether they're a 30-year-old entrepreneur that's doing really well or a 60-year-old entrepreneur that's doing very well in our system. And boy, guess what? I believe that the value of that for the entrepreneur themselves is abundant, and we can be selling that because I think that the mentorship that you could get from people on my team and friends of ours, yours, mine, across the city and state of Illinois, could be tremendous in inspiring, young people that will see way beyond their community, their neighborhood, right? To be able to serve others with a product that could be world class, that could be, not just delivered to their community, which is important, right? But delivered to the community of the country or the world. It brings way more investment back to the community that they love, right?
Yeah.
So anywhere we can help on that, I want to.
then if, I think that, so think about this 25 million that you have to raise. How are you doing there, and how do we get there? How do we get you there?
So we're building our center in phases. So there's 3 phases that we're building. So we've raised enough now to complete our architectural drawings. We've raised enough now to enter into permits. We raised enough to be ready for the second phase, which is putting in the steel and the concrete. And so hopefully next spring and next summer, we'll have enough where we can put in the steel and the concrete and hopefully continue on. So we're about 20 million away from having the complete funding. But we just hired a capital campaign director, speaking of vision earlier and putting people around you. I realized, Gary, that I've been trying to raise all the money myself and trying to pastor a church, trying to lead a not-for-profit, trying to be a family man, and trying to raise all the money by myself. And I've been blessed. God has blessed me. We've done a good job. But in order to scale it, we had to go out and find someone who is competent, capable, and gifted, and basically take them from another place where they were being successful and hire them to do the work for us. And so I'm really excited because for the first time, we have a capital campaign director who is really good and she's really gifted. And I think she's going to help us tremendously in raising the money. And it's not, so now the burden is just not on me. We have a person who's actually putting a strategy together and infrastructure to help us raise the rest of the funds.
I would love to see if you're putting together a video, a couple-minute video on that vision, or you're putting together anything on that. So I can get it out to my network of friends. I'd love to do that. So when you get that vision that you think is clear enough, and that video that shows the vision clearly, and the amount of money needed, when you have to raise all that, how soon you got to have it raised, how soon you want, what the opening, the ribbon cutting day would be. Put the ribbon cutting day out there, and when that is, right, and then say, okay, from here to there, here's what we got to do, and we need investors that believe in building community, right? Because any way I can help there, I'd love to. So let us know. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thanks. I appreciate it, Gary.
So when we look at family, I've met some of your kids, and boy, what awesome kids you got. I mean, you could see the killer. I say killer instinct. I say killer instinct when I look at people that are are going to do amazing life. It's in their eye. They got that gleam in their eye, and your kids all have that, right? What are their ambitions, and are they following your footsteps, or a little different? Tell us about your family.
So, all of them are really strong as far as working hard. They all have a good hard work ethic. So I really appreciate that. All of them are doing something a little different. And then they have something that they're all doing together. So I'm really excited about that. My oldest daughter is into baking and cooking, but she also loves to raise dogs, which is a different type of combination. I don't know, but she's breeding dogs, and she's working on her own bakery. So it's very interesting. Then my oldest son, Desmond, helps me, but he also has his own business. He has a consulting business and a branding business where he helps rappers and entertainers to get branding deals for like Finish Line and or other music deals or whatever. So he does that, but he's also really gifted in operations. So he runs all the operations for ProjectHOOD, for our non-for-profit, for me. And he's really gifted at that. And then my youngest daughter, Danielle, who went to Parsons School of Design in New York, she is really gifted with social media and event planning and things of that sort. And she's real strategic as well. She's gifted in operations. I tell them that they get that from their mom, because their mom is real organized and real structured. So they get that from her. And then my youngest son, Kobe, he's a sophomore at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. So he's working on a business degree. and he also has a real strong interest in music. So he started his own business called Heavy Sound, and so we'll see how that goes.
Heavy sound. What's heavy sound going to be? What's he looking at?
So he's into like producing music people and directing music and managing music. So it's in the music industry, producing, publishing, managing. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. And all kind of different strengths that they all have, it seems like, and different passions, but you're raising leaders, and it's going to be fun to watch what they do in life to lead others to a better place, hopefully, right? That's our goal.
Yeah, and then they all four of them work together they have a real estate venture that they all four that we helped them to start. So we bought them a 2-flat, and that's where they started. So now they got I think they have 8 units all together. So they're they have their own so they have their meetings, and so I'm looking forward to see what they do with that as well.
That's really cool. Corey, and the thing is, I know you do this, and you've established a little board of advisors. You're going to always be somebody they look up to, and they're going to be bouncing things off of. But what I love to do is in these businesses I have is build little boards. Even they're just startups like your kids right now. Build a board of advisors of people that are that will get them to think way beyond what they might think now. Get them to think way beyond, right? Which is really a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So when if you're ever looking for board members for anything you guys are doing, just advisory board, no cost to be there, let me know. And I'd love to help put that together too. Cause I think no matter what there's so many people that have the wisdom, let's say, right. That have been there and done it before. And that's who you are to so many. And for you and I to continue to find those people, right. That have vision beyond what we have and different things that we're not as strong at. Right. I mean, if you think of all the real estate people we know that are super strong in real estate, that could be visionaries for, kids like yours or mine. It's, if they're into that stuff, it's really neat. So I could talk to you all day long, brother. You're awesome.
I know, Gary. Thank you.
I want to make sure I get down there. Let me know what time I get down there. We missed each other through the COVID stuff and some other issues we had. We had a snowstorm at one point. I know that I was supposed to come down on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Got snowed out. But if you could look in your schedule for a time I come down there and I can match up with my schedule, it'd be a lot of fun. And I want to know about how I can help you and how we can duplicate that. As I plan on winning this governor's race, and I plan on being the governor of Illinois. When I do, I want to not through government as much as through private sector, right? Figure out how do we help really build communities around leadership like you and people we know like you that can shoulder that leadership in these communities, right? Because I don't think government's the answer for everything. As a matter of fact, Ronald Reagan said it. I think it was 6 words you don't want to hear. I'm with the government and I'm here to help. Right. I believe that government. There's plenty of things that government is very important to sponsor and to lead and to finance. But there's so many things that we do in our private lives and our private businesses that can change the world. Because government's not as innovative. Government doesn't have very good vision very often, right? And government very seldom is fiscally responsible. So either way, hey, I appreciate your time, Corey. Hey, give me your. I know you've got a couple of things like slogans you live by. Before we tell me about a slogan that you live by in your life that others can think about.
Well, here it is. I live by this. God gives blessings to who He can get blessings through. God gives blessings to who He can get blessings through.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So God gives blessings to who God, say it again.
God gives blessings to who God can get blessings through.
Oh, that's so perfect, right? True. Yeah, that's so perfect because I think about everybody's got their own strengths, right? And so many people don't understand the value of those strengths to the world.
And man, I don't care what you do in your life, if you're going to spend tens of thousands of hours being great at something.
Absolutely.
And to share the wisdom of that something, whatever it is, to others, is awesome, right? Because we invest a lot of time. I've invested a lot of time in paving parking lots, Corey, in asphalt and concrete, and I can share that wisdom to anybody, and I'm gonna help them progress it in that space faster than anybody. I've also invested tens of thousands of hours of leading leaders and grooming CEOs and entrepreneurs, right? And that's why I'd love to be able to speak in front of your kids down there anytime, because
We're gonna make it happen.
I'm confident the wisdom I've got now, it's taken tens of thousands of hours to get that wisdom. But when I can share that with young people, that it jumps them forward, leap years ahead. If I can share the challenges and the things that I've had to learn from, just like you. So I got that statement so awesome. That God gives blessings to God can give blessings through. I mean, it's such a perfect thing to talk about, because in every walk in life, we've got our strengths, we've got our weaknesses. And if we in our weaknesses can reach out to those people who God's given the blessings, like you just said, man, how much sharper can we get, and how much more valuable can we get to our communities, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it.
Well, Gary, you're welcome to come down anytime. We're going to make sure you get down here, and we wish you much success in your run for governor. We're here to help you as much as we possibly can. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And thank you for letting me ask you so many questions. I appreciate it.
Well, Pastor Brooks, I appreciate you, brother. You're awesome. And hey, Chris usually gets some nuggets out of these podcasts and usually lays them out. Chris, lay out those nuggets you've got out of communicating with our buddy here.
Oh man, I don't know if we're gonna have enough time to go over all of them, but
hit it, buddy. Hit it.
I'll do my best. Pastor Corey, thank you so much for spending your time with us. You're just an incredibly inspiring individual. I love hearing your story and hearing about all your amazing work. You started off by saying starting a church is like starting a business. I think that's a really wonderful and powerful way to look at, starting something in the community that is really important and helpful. Always make sure you have really strong folks on the execution side to make your entrepreneurial vision a reality. I think that's incredibly important. A lot of visionaries out there, they might not have as strong of an execution side. So finding those folks is absolutely instrumental. Build a duplicative model of your business so it's scalable. I thought that was awesome. The key to leadership is growing leaders. You mentioned that building leaders around you is the best way to secure your legacy. I thought that was incredibly powerful. Just, Gary said, "Oh, if I get hit by a bus, they'll just sell all my equipment." But when you have other leaders kind of like carrying your vision forward, then your legacy is much more secure. Nothing can stop you from your purpose if you put in the work. I thought that was incredibly powerful. That's so pragmatic. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'll do the work then.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how you said believe in a person until they can believe in themselves. I think, it sounds like you're close to a miracle worker down there. Just you believe so strongly in your community and in the members of your community that they're like, oh my gosh, if he believes in me, then maybe I can do it. So I think that might secretly be the key to everything, and that's such like a tangible thing that anyone can do. Just believe in someone until they believe in themselves. That's amazing.
No doubt.
And then the cherry on top, God gives blessings to those who can those he can give blessings through. I think that's what a way to end the interview with that one right there.
Thanks. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Chris, this guy's almost perfect. Besides that, the blue he wears. Otherwise, he's like he's the guy I want to be. So hey, Corey, I can't wait to see you in the near future, brother.
Yes.
Again, let's get our schedules together and figure out a time I come down because I want to do that. And then, and again, I believe that we through True Mentors that we started this thing all because Quentin James, a member, a young man that's from your neighborhood there, that's my buddy. Him and I started True Mentors, and boy, we said, it worked out really well. We were like, how do we mentor more? And we want to do this podcast where we get leaders like yourself on the podcast because, mentoring is all about just sharing experiences. It's about just sharing experiences with other people and getting them to think, maybe a little different and in a way that makes their life better and their success more achievable. And so, with that, I'm just confident that the people, the 65, 75, whatever it was, leaders we had in True Mentors are all perfect examples of people that you can pull from to be in your community whenever you want them. I can leverage them just by my friendships to say, get your butt down there. It's a great experience to be able to talk in front of your kids, to constantly inspire them. And right now, if you got 180 kids or something like that now.
Right.
We want to expand that to, thousands of kids in our communities across Chicago. And why? Maybe because I believe that, through sharing our experiences, my crazy experience, I know that for sure I can inspire young people to think differently and think about the fact that, hey, if this Rabine guy can do this, of course I can do it. This guy's no smarter than I am, right? And I'm confident that there's so many stories like that, all within a short distance from your community that we can bring there. And any way I can help there, I want to. Okay.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, brother. God bless you. Thanks for your time.
Bless you too.
And this is one of our best ditch digger CEOs ever because of you.
Bless you, man. Appreciate it. All right. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate you guys.
Have a great day, man. Thank you.